Quebec Finance Minister Eric Girard yesterday dropping the provincial budget, letting us know what's in store as well. He is on the line. Minister, thank you for your time.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Let me begin by asking, and I understand it is the opposition's job to oppose, but it's being called, I think uniformly here from the opposition anyway, what they're saying is a lazy budget because it gives nothing back to consumers. There's no broad tax cuts, no checks to households, nothing like that. Why is that? And is this all because of what particular reason?
What we did is a responsible budget in a very uncertain period. We have a Middle East war, we have a tariff conflict, and we have an election coming in October. And so we decided to be responsible, sober. So we increase infrastructure, we increase the core mission of the state, justice, healthcare, education, higher education. And we improve public finance by doing less. We're doing more because we are reducing the deficit for 24-25, 25-26, 26-7. So we're improving public finance, and we have less debt today than in proportion of the economy than when we came to power. It's very important to say. Our deficit is small at less than 1% of GDP. So by having strong public finance, we're sending a signal of confidence in a very uncertain period.
So you've also heard different sectors. I know the money is there for healthcare and education. We had the chair of the English board on saying there's really not much in here at all. In fact, it won't even cover the increased cost to them because it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.6%. Your budget, to speak to this idea...
It's really 3% for education, which is exactly what was being asked as a minimum. But it's 3% because you need to correct for the fact that there was an expense last year for immigration that's not there. When you correct for that, the 2.4 becomes 3%, okay. And it is exactly what was being asked.
Okay, they're suggesting it's not. Your budget is built on real GDP growth, I think about 1.1%, right? And I want to go back to what you said before. We're kind of living through very uncertain times right now, and I think most people understand that. Most, I think from what I've read, forecasters expect sub 1% growth, and they're warning about tariff shocks. You're projecting 1.1. Are you not concerned about those, and should they have not changed?
What we do when we do a budget, we consult the economists of the private sector, the large bank, Desjardins, and we do a high, low, average, and we're bang on for this year for the forecast. We're using the consensus economic forecast, and for next year, we're below, more conservative. So really, if you've heard that critique from the opposition, it doesn't make any sense.
Okay, well, interesting you mentioned Desjardins. I have a note saying their chief economist says that your outlook rests on hopes about the trade file, and that's not really a prudent forecast. What's your answer to that?
Oh, he refers to the fact that to balance the budget in 29-30, there is $2 billion that is unexplained.
Right.
And the reason it is unexplained is that we had to table a return to balance plan or a plan to balance the budget within 5 years in March 25. So if you remember, in January 2025 was the inauguration of the President Trump. In February 2025, he threatened us with tariff on all goods and services. And so when we tabled the budget in March 25, we could not go and have enough money to balance the budget in year 5. We're missing $2 billion. And this is the part that is unexplained. So again, I certainly accept that it could be better, it could be explained, but we're living in a very difficult period. We have one of the lowest deficits in the country, sub 1% of GDP. BC was downgraded today. New Brunswick tabled a 3% deficit to GDP. Nova Scotia is at 2.7. A lot of provinces are struggling. Sub 1%, we're way beyond the national average. We're doing a good job of managing public finance. And yes, there could be upside if we have a USMCA agreement. The upside will cover the $2 billion that's missing. And if the U.S. were to pull out of USMCA, we're going to have a recession in North America, not only in Quebec and in Canada.
Okay, understood. I will ask about a couple of other areas just very quickly. With respect to infrastructure, there's this opinion here in Montreal, which is where we are, that the CAQ government, and with the money set aside here, doesn't really care much about Montreal. The STM, aging infrastructure, they say $3 billion over 10 years or $3.5 billion over 10 years, but most of that money is set to not come until 2030. And funding over the next 5 years has actually been decreased. So we're dealing with aging infrastructure, not enough money to repair it, and that's Montreal specifically. So why is that?
This is so unfair as a comment. I don't know where to start. We are accelerating infrastructure spending by $2 billion before March 31st, 2026. And where is that money going? In the Montreal subway and in the expansion of the Blue Line. And with respect to hospital, can I name you 2 hospitals that we're in the process of renovating? Currently in realization, we're putting extra money. The Lakeshore Hospital and the Montreal, the Jewish Hospital.
Jewish General?
We call it the Jewish.
Yeah.
It's the Jewish General.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So, quite frankly, I wish sometimes people would actually read the budget before making these claims.
So that claim came from the head of the STM. I didn't make that up. Just saying.
Understood.
Okay.
We're accelerating $2 billion of funding before March 31st, 2026 for the Montreal subway and the Blue Line.
Okay. You mentioned the Montreal General and the Lakeshore. There's a big question and a sharp critique here with respect to Maisonneuve-Rosemont. And because we know it's aging, there's nothing in here apparently specifically to that.
Again, Aaron, please. We are increasing funding for l'Hôpital Maisonneuve-Rosemont by billions of dollars. We're currently working on the parking lot in order to prepare for the construction. We are provisioning large sum of money in order to go and do a tender process for construction engineering work. And in due time, we'll go in realization. And when we go into realization, the billions necessary to do the hospital will have been provisioned before.
With all due respect, Minister, this is not a new plan. It's been there since 2024. And the head of the Maisonneuve-Rosemont Hospital says he'd been hopeful there would be money in this budget to just begin major work. I know you mentioned the parking lot. What about the hospital?
There is billions with an S for the hospital in this budget. We do not disclose these amounts for competitive purposes. We do not want contractors to know how many billions we have to build the hospital. This hospital could cost as much as $5 billion. So we are not revealing how much we are provisioning, but we are provisioning to build Maisonneuve-Rosemont.
Okay.
And I understand that I have some sympathy for the fact that they've been working in an hospital that is in difficult condition. But if there is a winner in this budget with respect to infrastructure, it is the healthcare sector. Let me name you a few hospitals that we're doing. Vaudreuil, Arthabasca, the Jewish General, Charles Lemoine, Chicoutimi, Sept-Îles, Lévis, Saint-Jérôme, Mont-Laurier, and we are provisioning billions for Maisonneuve-Rosemont and others hospitals.
Okay. I guess my only comment on that would be it's fine to provision the money. I think their concern seems to be, can we get a start date on when we can start using this money?
Yes. as soon as we have engineering plan, architectural plan, and we can have a tender process in order for these contracts to be awarded, and we're ready to go.
Last thing I will ask you before I have to let you go, Andre Fortin, the Liberal finance critic, said this with respect to something else in the budget. Take a listen to this.
The finance minister yesterday decided to take $1.3 billion from money that Quebecers could use today to fix healthcare, to fix infrastructure, to fix all of their current daily needs, and give it to Christine Fréchette and Bernard Drinville to have an electoral slush fund for the CAQ. That's basically what they did yesterday.
A lot of people are wondering why that's even there, and that does seem a bit strange. So what's the answer to that?
Wow. Okay, let me start. We had a decision to make whether we were going to do a budget before March 31st or after April 12th. Okay, why did we go with before March 31st? Because we wanted to provide responsible continuity of governments to Centre de service scolaire or school board. Actually, in English, we have school board. To Centre intégré de santé et services sociaux, to community groups, to businesses. For example, with respect to homelessness, the federal government was providing $25 million a year the last 2 years. They pull out their funding. If I do not come and cover the federal government for $25 million on April 1st, funding expires. So we did. So we're providing continuity of government. Because there will be a new premier after April 12th, I've reserved $250 million for one announcement or two with respect to the cost of living difficulties that Quebecers are facing. We will be the government with a premier as part of the budget. We're allowed to provide some funding for cost of living help to Quebecers, and to call this an electoral slush fund is quite frankly ridiculous.
All right. Minister, I always appreciate your time. I thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Introducing Bryan Adams Radio on iHeartRadio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
Join me for an insider look on a wild ride through 40 years of global rock and roll.
Bryan Adams Radio. Now available on the free iHeartRadio app. Or ask your smart speaker to play Bryan Adams Radio on iHeartRadio.
Who's ready to rock?
Kids wanna rock.